Hey, we're in downtown Vancouver for the afternoon, and we just had a wonderful Indian lunch at East is East. Highly recommended. It's little tapas, things. Well, if you get the feast, it's different things that you can just keep ordering, and they'll bring you little tapas bites of stuff. So delicious.
I like the mix and mash of tapas for the Indian food, but that is what it was. Little portions. It's so good.
Now we're going to head over to Stanley Park, which is the largest park in Vancouver, and also a little larger than Central Park in New York, which I didn't know. 1/5 larger than Central Park. Just able to make the last train ride of the day through the park. I thought this would be a good way just to see as much of the park as we can.
On this trip, we'll explore Vancouver's urban forest through some of the plants and animals that call Stanley Park home.
So the train tour was a little bit more geared towards kids. They were talking about Canadian animals and natural history and stuff. See this beautiful bike path along the water here with a beautiful skyline of Vancouver in the background. The brochure for Stanley Park says that this is the longest uninterrupted waterfront pathway in the world. 16 miles, Seaside Greenway is an uninterrupted pathway, including a seawall, that extends from the Vancouver Convention Center to around Stanley Park. Very nice. People are certainly enjoying it on this beautiful day. Driving up through North Vancouver now, and we've stopped at Lynn Canyon Park. There's a suspension bridge here that we can hike over. Now, don't confuse this with Capilano Suspension Bridge Park, which is real close by to here in North Vancouver. Capilano is a larger eco park that has a lot of different ecological things that you can do there in addition to the suspension bridge, and the entrance fee for that is very large, like $60 or $70 Canadian. But Lynn Canyon is just a little hike down to the suspension bridge. There's a little eco museum here or something as well. And it's free entrance. There's a little parking fee if you park in the parking lot, but otherwise it's free.
There's a little waterfall.
Steep at the top here.
It's a nice path too. There's little pools.
Little trail. All right.
Yeah, it was not as nice when I was here last. It was a little chillier.
Jason has been to Vancouver a few times for business, and sometimes they bring him out to these kind of places
And pleasure.
when he's here. But this is my first time seeing all this stuff.
What do you think?
Impressive. There are a couple different tulip festivals going on in the region in April. They last all through the month, and we are at the Lakeland Flowers Festival in Abbotsford today. Just fields and fields of tulips. If you've ever been to Holland during tulip season or seen pictures of those, it's very reminiscent of that. And people are just wandering through the flowers. It's a gorgeous sunny day and a great day out. So you can see the tulips are during April and May. And then there's different flowers throughout the year. So fun. The sign here says that Lakeland has one of the largest tulip displays in Canada. This one is 28 acres. So there's a few different varieties of tulips here at Lakeland. They have the double tulip, which is, most tulips just have one layer of petals, but the double tulip has two layers. And then the fringed tulip has little fringes around the edge, and then there's also the double fringed. So we're gonna see if we can spot any of those out in the field today. This looks like maybe a double fringe. It almost looks like a rose. Really delicate fringes there, but that one's super full. And then this one might be a single fringe. And this looks like a regular double. Look at the layers of petals in there. This must be a double-double. Hi circuit riders, welcome back to beautiful British Columbia. We are getting ready to head out, but we're not leaving British Columbia yet because we are hopping just over the border to Washington State, the very northwest corner in Blaine, Washington, which is actually closer to Vancouver than we are here at Cultus Lake. One thing we need to do before we get going today is to torque the lug nuts on our RV tires. We do this about every 6 months, just to make sure that they're good and tight. Some people suggest doing it every trip, but I think that those are people who are just like traveling seasonally, maybe a couple times a year. Doesn't seem to be very practical for a full-timer, so I've got it on our schedule for every 6 months.
All right. Oh yeah, these are nice and tight. That clicking means it's there.
Good.
That one had a little bit of, I could move it.
Okay.
But again, barely. That's good. All right, where am I going? RVs and trailers down there. Are you there?
Hello. Just two of you on board?
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a Nexus card, but I think that's all you need, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was very quick, and I think that's the first time we've ever brought the RV back into the United States where they didn't go look inside the RV. Usually when we come back over the Maine border, they always look inside. But Jason's just said they have some pretty heavy-duty scanners.
They do in Maine too, but just could be a who knows why.
And this is a smaller crossing here in BC. We're not crossing at a major city.
Yeah, not like Holton.
We've arrived in Birch Bay, Washington. This is a popular vacation spot just south of Blaine, Washington, in the very northwestern part of the state. And looks like a beautiful area here. There's 1,000 Trails Birch Bay that we're at, but this is the actual bay with lots of vacation homes. And you might remember in a previous video, I picked up this travel bug, geocache travel bug from a cache in British Columbia. So we're gonna try to dip it in caches along the way and maybe take it back to the East Coast with us. So you can either drop a travel bug in a geocache, or you can just dip it and then you log that the travel bug visited the cache, and then you can keep going with it. So that'll be fun. Sometimes when people drop travel bugs in geocaches, they put a little goal for the bug in the geocaching app, like we would like to travel around the United States or go to different countries or whatever. But the goal for this little fish was to take lots of pictures. So I'm going to plan to take pictures of each place that we dip it in. We did go back up into British Columbia for one afternoon. The weather wasn't great, and we didn't quite have time to make it all the way up to the Whistler ski area, but we did want to at least do some of the coastal drive along Howe Sound. So we went to the little town of Squamish, which was up in the mountains, a beautiful drive along the water there. And then we came back down to the Vancouver area to White Rock, which is a little seaside town very near the border, and it looks right across the water into Blaine, Washington. So we had a great afternoon out there, just a nice scenic drive, and then we headed back over the border. So it's been a cloudy, rainy day up here in Vancouver, and we're just going back over the U.S. border now into Washington. But we maybe found a little hack here. There's a long line of cars waiting to get into the United States. And Sunday afternoon, no surprise, people are coming back from the weekend, whatever. It said it might be even up to an hour wait. But we are on the hunt for a British Columbia magnet, and we haven't been able to find one anywhere. And I said, let's stop at the duty-free shop before we cross the border. So we realized that once we got into the parking lot here, there's a separate entrance or exit from here if you have duty-free merchandise with you. And I bet we're gonna sail right through this line. Let's see. All right, we did not find a magnet. We're gonna have to go back over there this week and get a magnet. But we did get some chocolate, my favorite, Toblerone. So we're gonna head out and see how long it takes us to get across here. Well, not really. I mean, we did enter the customs line farther along than we would have coming out of the other side of the duty free. We're kind of in the middle of the line now, so we probably cut our time in half, but
We just don't know half of what.
the traffic is at a standstill right now. I think they're letting a whole bunch of cars go at one time and then everybody has to sit. But luckily, we just picked up over in Surrey some sushi for dinner that we were going to take home to eat.
Just have it here.
And now we're just having a truck picnic, and we have Toblerone for dessert. So who cares?
It all worked out. That's not too bad.
Oh, there's a Pizza Hut right there.
You know, you can hop out and go do that and then come join me either at this light, or if I go through, you'll get me
That's a
there.
great point. Well, since we're going to be here for a while, I'm going to hop out of the truck and go see the Peace Arch. Everybody's doing it, hopping out of their cars and going to see this monument that's in the middle of the going into the United States and coming into Canada. This is the border between the United States and Canada, and we've seen these little stanchions all along the border of northern Maine and New Brunswick. We've seen one between British Columbia and Washington, so it's so fun to see this big one here. Go waiting. It's super cool.
All right, we have the final countdown before our tranche is released. 40 seconds till we get to go forward and then wait some more.
And then we're gonna wait in that line.
Yeah. But we've been waiting here 35, 40 minutes at most.
Yeah. Well, the sun finally came out at least.
Let's see.
So, an hour and 10 minutes took us to get across. Look at this crazy wire art piece that's at the going into the United States. It looks really funky. So, I think that if we had to wait in that entire line, the whole thing would have been about 2 hours. I think we got in halfway. Amazing.
We did use the time to be in the store, but that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
So we actually took about 2 hours to get across, but an hour of that was...
We weren't in the store for an hour, though. I think that was a little faster.
So if both people in this vehicle had Nexus, it would have been 5-10 minutes at most.
It's all my fault. I don't have the Nexus card, but
why,
I have...
But why don't you have the Nexus card?
I have applied for it.
Did you have the
but they haven't
opportunity to
called me
get
yet.
the Nexus card at the same time I applied?
4 years ago?
And then what did you say at the time?
I said, I don't need a Nexus card. The wait at the Maine New Brunswick border is never more than 5 minutes. Why do I need a Nexus card? And here we are.
And so you are in the system now. I put you
I'm
in
just
November.
waiting. I'm waiting for the call to go get my interview.
And how long is the wait?
14 months.
Yeah, so merry next Christmas.
Well, we've been settled in to Blaine, Washington here for a few days, and this is a really special location for me because it's the end of the True X tour. Now, if you've watched us it's got to be going back a couple of years now, when we discovered that there's a motorcycle tour you can take that covers the four corners of the country. And we discovered it in Madawaska, Maine. Madawaska is the northeasternmost city in the United States. You have to go to each of the four corners of the U.S. So Madawaska, Maine, Key West, Florida, San Ysidro, California, and Blaine, Washington. And so this is our last stop. And Blaine is just a sleepy little town up here on coastal Washington, very close to the Canadian border. Probably actually the closest you could get to the northwesternmost point would be the Peace Arch that's right at the border that we crossed the other day. So I should go back, just in case you haven't watched our other videos about this motorcycle tour. The Four Corners Motorcycle Tour is if you can ride a motorcycle to those four cities in 21 days, right? So you have to drive the whole thing on your motorcycle, 21 days, and mostly there's not certain points in each city that you have to go to, but you have to somehow prove that you were there. So most people will take a picture of themselves in front of the post office of the town. So I made sure to go to the Blaine post office today and take a picture of myself here, showing that I was here. Now, Jason is also here. He's been sick for the past week. He's got a really bad cold. He did not feel like going out today, but he is in Blaine, so I'm still going to count it. He didn't get his picture taken. So if you want to be a really serious motorcycle tour junkie, then you do the True X tour. Now, this is a motorcycle tour you have to finish in 26 days, and the extra days are so that you can go through the very middle of the United States in Lebanon, Kansas. It's the geographical center of the country. And in the True X, you have to start from one of the four corners and then go through Lebanon on each leg of your trip. So you ride from Madawaska, Maine to Lebanon, and then out to Key West, back to Lebanon, Kansas, out to San Ysidro, back to Lebanon, and up to Blaine, Washington. So that is a super strenuous ride. Some call it the Iron Butt Tour because that is a long time on your motorcycle. But anyway, we have taken a few years to do our True X, and here we are at the end of it, just for fun. Doesn't count for anything. Now, if you do it on the motorcycle, or if you finish the Four Corners tour on the motorcycle, you can get a little recognition and a plaque or a brick or something up at the Four Corners Park in Madawaska, Maine. That was how we first learned about this tour, and it's so nice. They've got such a nice site up there. It's really fun to see. But anyway, we're finishing our True X tour today.